What's up developers, and welcome to another video from Code Review. I'm Mustafa Rumir. Recently I got questions to do authorization with the Flutter using REST API. Guys, this video for you. If you are new here, please support the channel by subscribe and hit the like button, and let's get started. So I'm going to use the same project I did it before. Check the link in the description below, or maybe one of the corners, and it's highly recommended to understand what's happening here. So we start first by the app. So this is just a kind of fast overview about it. So I did a route generation here by using generate route, also using the forgot screen and also a login screen. And that side login screen, there is a kind of like blocks where we define our fields, and when we have also form block that will be connected to using with validation mixing, and also to use the Rx observables, to use the observables to our streams to validate the data. But for now the submit doesn't do anything. Now if we go to validation mixing, it's just for validate the email, also for validation or validate the password, and then we add the email or it's required, or otherwise it will be added just a value. So this is a kind of simple validation that I used to. Also we have our provider, where we use the provider extended by inherited widget, and then use this provider in the app. As a side note, I want to show you how to set it up, the API. So the API is very simple and very easy to understand. It's just you need to have some tokens. So there is nothing services that use it. I used it. So there is just the login and then the register route inside the API when you do some kind of small validation through the API, and that's it. So we start first from the app component, or maybe from the main app. So we remove also the generated route, and because it's not necessary, we put just the object of route, and we will make sure that the import is really correct. Otherwise it will throw in an error. Also for other routes, we will start creating our component or our screens for these routes. So I will use the shortcuts to create a new screens component or screens route for sign up screen. Also the same also for the home screen, and that will be using the stateless widget, and then we just to create a component or a screen. I'm going also to create a new row with a checkbox to make sure that I have the click on with the login to go to the register screen. Because in the other project, or maybe in the other video that I did it before, we didn't have that button, so that I'm now adding this button to for register route. So we use on tab to push the navigation with the context with the register that we already added before. So as you can see that we can just write the sign up or the register. So you need to check this out in your app main, so it should be the same, otherwise it's not gonna work. Now we go to install our package with HTTP and the Flutter session. So HTTP for the client to use it with the HTTP client, and the Flutter session is the local storage inside the mobile app. We have to make another observable also for error message. This is also the same as the any fields of the error message. This will show the error inside our app in case if there is an error comes from the HTTP client or from the API. So this is highly recommended. Otherwise we need to put this one with the combine latest as a 3, and we use this as the third argument with error message, I mean with our observable, and this will make sure that the form will not won't be submitted if there is an error. So this is highly recommended. Now we will create our auth service class. So this is the class where we going to put any the authorization information, also the connection with the HTTP client. So in here in this class we will put this one in the directory of service, and we called it auth service. the first thing we will do is also to make base URL. So we put the base URL for now is the localhost for me, because I'm just using a development mode, and this will be like for 4000. And then we start making our register function. So the register function will take the parameters as an email and password as parameters, and then it will we will use a try catch to connect with the HTTP client and send the data. So we will make a variable we call the response, and we will use HTTP, and then we say post. So for now the HTTP is not imported, so we have to import it, and this will make sure that the HTTP will be the same as HTTP. So we import this HTTP from HTTP, and then we will go and then post our data. So we say take the base URL, use string interpolation in Dart, and then pass the body parameter as an email and password object. So we said an email and password, and then the return value, we just return any value that will be back from the response, and we say just body. And for final BLoC, this means if you want to do something, for me, I'm not gonna do anything for it, but if you want to do something, you can do it here. So as the same as the register, we do also the login. The only changes will be the path for URL, and also we send a static token. For now, I'm sending just a static token to the HTTP client. And then you can say the client ID, but for now I don't send anything. And then we will use also the set token. I use it also as a static because I need it to use it anywhere, everywhere, so without making any reference for it. And this is an async process, so it's an promise process or future in Dart, and we use Auth data. So Auth data is in a class that will transform the data. We will create this class later. We will pass the token and refresh token to the constructor of this class, and then we will use the session package and by set the token as a tokens, and then by set also the token as a tokens, and also the data to it. So now we go and start to create also a get token, or maybe the session first. So by defining the session, so this will be the static final session variable, because we don't need it to be from any place. We don't need it to be edited or updated. So what we're going to do is also importing the Flutter session there, and then we go and make another static function that's called get token. And because this session is always a future, we need to make sure that we'll await until the session will be finished. And also, as I said, we could go to make a get token, and the get token it will just return a token it found it. If I'm not sure, because we need to throw an error otherwise if there is no token, but this will be handled in the main app. So we say session, and then you say get tokens, and without any second parameters. Now we're going to create the auth data class, and because this class used just in this auth surface, we will use the underscore before it, which means that it will be in a private just in this file. This is a feature from Dart. And then we will define our constructor for auth data, and because auth data now taking at two arguments, that a token and the refresh token, and they are required. So we do define our constructor by the auth data, and then pass to it the token and the refresh token. And then go inside and then make the instances of the token and the refresh token inside the auth data. and now what we need to do is to make the to JSON function. So this is the function. This is highly recommended and also required by the session package, that it will define or it will transform the data from an object that from JSON object to data to map, string, and dynamic that will be understood by Dart. We can pass also the client ID, but this is I will put this one as an optional because I don't think that I need it. But for the sake of this course, we don't need it. But actually, it will be very handy if you put the client ID, especially if you are if you do login, if you do register, and then you save the client ID in the local storage, and then you pass it to the at the login. In this form block with the submit, we need to do the submit will be removed. So we will do the register and the sign in or login function. So for the register, we just do require the register from the auth service, and then we will pass just build context to it. You will see why I'm passing the build context in shortly. So we will do a variable, and that variable will hold the auth service info. And it's an instance of auth service actually. So I don't want to define it multiple times, so I just say a var auth info here. And then we'll go and then import the auth service to make sure that it's imported, and then we'll check the result that comes from the auth service by sending to the invoking the register inside our register. And then we pass to it, this is also very important to think about, because we pass to it the email, not the email sync, or just the email behavior subject. This will make sure that the email value is valid, otherwise you will pass the value without valid data. And then after the response comes from the register, we do make sure that the data will be decoded as a map string and dynamic. This will be understood by Dart. Now, in the end, what we will do is also to make sure that the data that comes from the API, it has the correct data and there is no error required. So I put as kind of like I put the status in every response, and I will make I had to make sure that if the response is not 200, which is not successful, then there is always a message with it, and the message will be the message of the error actually. Otherwise, if there is no 200, it will be there is no error, and there is a data then. And the add error is the error that we did before the error message, because this error message will be shown later in the UI and the login screen. And in this case, after it we will do take the auth service and then start saving the data to our sessions. So our local storage by take the auth service and set token to it. And then we do navigation to push, we do navigator to push on another page. So that's why we need the context, because we need to use push named and then pass the context to it. I do return the data, but I don't think this is necessary to return the data here. But in case of you want to see the data in the UI, so it will be this one, we'll return the data to it. Now this is the case of the register. In case of the login, it will be also the same, so we just need to copy this one, and then we change the name to the login, and also change the name to auth info, whereby in the auth service to the login. It will also pass the email and password value, and as you can see, and it's also return the data is the same, but there is a harder coded the token there, so you can use another way to it. We also push to the home and using this context, and also we return the data. What we need also to put, I think I forgot that the error message observable need to be closed, otherwise it will to do some performance issue as memory leak. Now we will try to make adjustment in our login and also in our sign up screen. So in a pressed, we will make sure that if the snapshot has error, then we return null. It means that will be disabled, so it's not gonna do anything. Otherwise, we will do the BLoC.login with the context that we will be passed via the stream builder. And this will be the same in the sign up screen, so it's typical the same. The only function will be is that the register instead of login, and then that's it. So this is what we need to make adjustment inside login and sign up screen. Now, in order to show the message and the error message that comes from the API, we need to make another field, or maybe another text field that is show the message. So here I will use another class to show the message, because this message will be used by by two components or by two screens. So the sign up and the login. So I put this one as a helper in the helper class, and this this class will do just or maybe the error message will return just the widget, and it will pass by form BLoC, and then it will return a widget, and also by the stream builder. So it will make sure that if there is a message, so it will be shown, otherwise it will show nothing. But the text field, or the text let's say the text widget, will be always available, so it will take it will take a space from the screen. This is very important, otherwise, because if you return null, it's always saying there is a problem. So I don't know, with me is returning null is always a problem, so I have to return an empty text, otherwise it will throw always an error. So here I'm adjusting the helper message, and I just want to make sure that the helper message is totally correct and there is no problem in it. Especially I forgot that the helper message is inside the text widget. So I removed this one, so I copy it and also paste it in the sign up, and that's it. That will show the message, and you can see there is a kind of like a space between the form and the button. With that already imported or already implemented, now we go to the home component, or to the app component, where we do the home route, and we use a future builder. That's because we have a builder method, which is or maybe the future method, which comes from the get token from the auth service. So this is an asynchronous process. That's why you use future here. So, but I forgot to annotate the get token with future. And we check for the snapshot of the connection state. It will be in the waiting state. So we just return a loading icon. Otherwise, if there is data, which means that there is an access token, we just return the home screen that will be passed. Otherwise, we just return the login screen, which means that we block any access to the app. Now, if I go to annotate the get token with the future, because it's a future process, and also I make sure that the return, it will be a map of string and dynamic. Also, I see that the token return something, because we don't need the return here, so I remove it. So we did already have a set token and get token, but we didn't remove the token. So we need to make sure that the remove token also exists by any component or by any screen. And the idea is by just getting the session preference, the session, and then the shared preferences, and then clear the storage. Now if you go to home component where we do the logout, after the push and named, we just bring the remove token, and this will make sure that the local storage will not get heavy by every time we log in or sign up. And yeah, and that's it. So if we try and to log out and then you go to email and you cannot go back because I use pop and push named. Now we try to log in again by using the any email, but it's valid email, and then we try to put any password with 4 characters. This will won't work, because the problem that any error will be caused by another transform. So actually we do transform the email and password, so we need to make sure this will be disabled, otherwise we'll block any connection, or maybe block any HTTP request. Now we'll make sure this the message will be shown, so you just I will show you how this work. So this transform the email should be required. That's true, but I do have now 2 validation for password and email, and that's in the server side and the client side. So this for testing purposes I cannot test it, so I disable it, I remove it, and then try to test it to show the message in the UI. Now I use also another validation by regular expression, and that's all make it easy to test the password and the email. Now if we do some sign-in also for this message, and also I put another validation with a $sign, so this will throw an error also, and then otherwise it will be login to the home screen. But if we log out, we still see the old message that showing the error. So what we need to do actually to make sure this will always the error stream will be always null if there is changing in email stream or in the password stream. This will make sure that there is no errors, so this will be clean streams. That's it guys for this video. If you like it or find it useful, please subscribe and share it to benefit the others. It will be always appreciated. This is Mustafa Rumi from Code Review. Thank you for watching and see you next time.